Let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I found myself in a constant state of worry. It wasn't about anything specific, it was everything. From small things like wondering if I forgot to lock the door, to larger, more existential fears like not doing enough with my life. At first, I didn't think much of it. After all, doesn't everyone have these thoughts? But soon, it started affecting me physically. I woke up one morning with a pounding headache and a tightness in my chest. It felt like I had run a marathon, even though all I had done was sleep, if you could call it that. My heart would race without warning, like it was preparing for some unseen battle. My hands would shake when I sat down to work, and I couldn't focus. At night, instead of resting, my mind raced, replaying conversations, decisions, and all the what-ifs in my life. I remember thinking, this can't just be stress, can it? But it was. It was anxiety, and it was fear. Two unwelcome guests that were quietly but surely taking a toll on my health. It's interesting how we often separate mental and physical health, as if they exist in two different worlds. But the truth is, they are deeply intertwined. Fear and anxiety can manifest in ways we don't always notice or recognize right away, but the body keeps score. For me, it started with physical symptoms, headaches, chest pains, sleepless nights. But it could just as easily show up as something else for you. Maybe it's the constant tension in your shoulders, or a recurring stomachache that no amount of medication seems to help. Maybe it's that lingering sense of exhaustion, like you're always tired, even when you haven't done much. Fear and anxiety, when left unchecked, can affect us more than we realize. Our bodies are built to handle stress in short bursts. It's part of our survival mechanism, what we often call fight or flight. But when stress becomes chronic, when fear and anxiety are our daily companions, our bodies struggle to keep up. To understand the impact of fear and anxiety on health, we need to dive into how our bodies react to these emotions. When you experience fear or anxiety, your body goes into survival mode. It releases stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline to prepare you for action. Your heart beats faster, your muscles tense up, and your body directs energy away from non-essential functions like digestion. This reaction is helpful if you're being chased by a bear, but not so much when you're just lying in bed worrying about tomorrow's meeting. Over time, this heightened state of alert can take a serious toll on your health. Constantly elevated stress hormones can weaken your immune system, making you more susceptible to illness. It can lead to high blood pressure, increase your risk of heart disease, and even contribute to problems like weight gain, insomnia, and digestive issues. That tightness in my chest? It was my body's way of telling me that my fear and anxiety were no longer just in my head. They were in my heart, my muscles, my stomach, my entire being. I began to wonder, where was all this fear and anxiety coming from? And more importantly, how could I stop it from ruling my life and affecting my health? For some people, fear and anxiety have clear triggers. It could be the pressure of a big project at work, relationship issues, or financial stress. For others, like me, it's more subtle. It's the accumulation of daily stresses, the endless barrage of thoughts, and the feeling of being out of control. One day, I had a conversation with a friend. She's one of those people who seems to have everything under control, someone who never appears to let stress get the better of her. I shared what I was going through, and to my surprise, she told me that she too had struggled with anxiety in the past. She said, "It's like carrying a heavy backpack everywhere you go. At first, it's manageable, but as you keep adding more and more to it, you don't even realize how much weight you're carrying until you collapse under it." That analogy stuck with me. I realized that, like my friend, I had been carrying around a backpack filled with fears, anxieties, and worries. Every day I added a little more weight to it, never thinking to stop and lighten the load.
So, what can we do about it? The first step is awareness. We often try to push our fears and anxieties to the back of our minds, hoping they'll go away on their own. But ignoring them doesn't help. In fact, it often makes them worse. I started by acknowledging my fears. Instead of letting them silently wreak havoc on my body, I began to confront them head-on. Some of them were irrational, sure, but others were rooted in real concerns. By facing them, I could start to take back control. I also made changes in my daily routine to help manage my anxiety. Things like deep breathing exercises, journaling, and practicing mindfulness became part of my day. I learned how to quiet my racing mind and be present in the moment, instead of constantly worrying about the future or reliving the past. But perhaps the most important thing I did was give myself permission to rest. I realized that in our busy, always-on world, we rarely give ourselves the time to just breathe and be. We feel guilty for taking breaks, for stepping away, even when our bodies and minds are crying out for it. If this story sounds familiar, if you've been living with fear and anxiety and noticing its toll on your health, you're not alone. But you also don't have to continue carrying that heavy backpack. Start by paying attention to the signals your body is giving you. Are you more tired than usual? Are you feeling physical symptoms that don't seem to have an explanation? These might be signs that fear and anxiety are affecting your health more than you realize. Take small steps to address it. Find what works for you, whether it's meditation, exercise, talking to a friend, or seeking professional help. And most importantly, give yourself the grace to rest when you need it. Our bodies and minds are connected in ways we're still learning to understand. But one thing is clear. When we care for our mental health, we care for our physical health too. You deserve to feel good, both mentally and physically. It's time to let go of that heavy backpack, to lighten the load, and to live a life that's not weighed down by fear and anxiety. It might not happen overnight, but with time and care, you can reclaim your health and well-being. And when you do, you'll finally be free to live your life the way it was meant to be lived, without fear and with a heart that's at peace.